You are live. Okay. So yeah, I think I mentioned this on the tweet that I sent out about this. But we started in 2011, December. 9 years. We've been doing this for 9 years. No special celebration, of course, but just.
It's 8 years.
Well, no, we're a one-based array. We started. This is the end of the year.
Oh, I hear you. Oh.
Okay, so we're starting our 9th year. How about that?
Yeah.
Yes, you're correct. We've just completed 8 years, so we're both right.
That's pretty good.
It's a dessert topping and the floor wax. Yeah, which we've been relatively consistent with. Every now and then we give up a month, but yeah.
Some months we meet and there's no recording of it.
And there's no recording of it. Some months we just cancel. But overall, yeah, maybe we'll do something special for 10 years. Maybe.
I like this idea.
We'll do it from the Bahamas or something.
Yeah, location.
I don't know, or maybe we'll just get some pizza and be done with it. What can I tell you? Yeah, so welcome to December 2019. Just before we started the broadcast, I admitted to Ed I have nothing to talk about this month, and you did pros. So you lead off because I have been in meetings all day. I did not even know they got released.
Okay, so they released the Mac Pro, or you can order it.
Okay.
I don't know when you physically will arrive. But
and the monitor, I think, right?
And
the fancy schmancy
monitor,
20K monitor, whatever it is.
So I didn't realize. So two things I didn't realize I saw it. One, which is sort of important, is that there's actually going to be a rack-mounted version of it. Like it's not just rackable, but they will actually sell it to you in a rack enclosure.
So Xserve version 2.0.
Well, no, but 3U.
So 3.0, but whatever.
3U or 4U.
Yeah.
Whatever. But,
well, that's a good idea. That's a good idea because
except of course you still can only run 2 VMs on it.
Yeah,
just saying.
Apple's
just
not.
Saying,
well, it's good for not for giant virtualization farms, but it is good for like
rendering,
video editing, big things, whatever.
Music, and as a rack mountable thing, you want it out of the room.
Yeah.
Speaking of Xserve, back in the day of consulting, I worked with a lot of recording studios.
Yes.
And I knew studios that just on their own heard about this new thing that Apple came out with, and they bought it and did not realize it was like sitting next to a jet engine. And, like all the other machines, they tried to put it in the room with the artist, and it was just unbearable, right?
Yeah, that
So I have
not designed.
Not designed.
In mind.
No.
Of course, why would it be?
No.
I haven't been in a room with one of these yet, but
I presume they're a lot quieter than the original Xserve.
Mark Brownlee.
Oh, yes, right.
Did a great
He does great reviews.
review of it. She's had it for 2 weeks. She said it's really quiet. It's super quiet.
Well, in all fairness, the trash can Mac that people can poke fun at, whatever, but it was super quiet. Even under load, it was pretty quiet. So, good on them.
The other thing I didn't know about the Mac Pro that surprised me is that the base storage configuration is the same as a mid-level iPhone. The base configuration
So
for whatever is
256 or something?
256 gigs. That's what you get for $6,000.
Well,
I mean, I get it. They're thinking that these are people who are going to, that's going to be the OS and
yes.
their applications, and the data is all going to be on their SAN or whatever. But I just thought it was very fun.
Yeah, I agree.
You can't get a MacBook Pro that small, but you can get a Mac Pro.
I mean, you used to do a lot of like art-ish installations, right? Like people running Photoshop, and like that was
a
long time ago, right? But that used to be a big deal, right? Like, where do you put your Photoshop Scratch? Like, you needed all the storage, not only for your documents, but your Photoshop Scratch. You needed like dedicated resources because
that's right, your Scratch file.
Yeah, the Scratch files, because it was huge. It took up a lot of space. I mean, I still fool around with doing video stuff, and it's a monster on requirements. So what else was the big announcement? Mac Pro can be ordered.
I mean,
fancy monitor.
You have to decide on wheels.
Right. You have to choose wheels or no wheels to begin with. You can't change it.
And how much are the wheels?
$400.
$400. Yeah. Well, Clay, you spec'd out like.
I maxed it out, and it was $57,000. But that's 1.5 terabytes of RAM for 25 grand or something like that, which is a lot of RAM.
It's a lot of RAM.
I'm thinking
and-
1.5 terabytes of RAM, no storage.
Right.
Everything in RAM.
Yeah.
Just big disk.
They're working on 8 terabytes of storage. Though. You can't order it today, but apparently that's one of the things that they're adding.
And that also includes like the Apple Fire thing card, whatever. Video editing
No,
special.
But there are 2 video cards that are not there yet. So hopefully they'll get the price to a reasonable $60,000.
But here's the question then. Who is that machine designed for? Like, you can say video and audio, maybe even like biotech computing, like has some pretty intense resources. But do you need 1.5 terabytes of RAM in a machine for that? Like,
That can only run 2 people.
that can only, right, that you're not sharing, that you're not turning into this
But think of the amount of Chrome tabs you have.
4, at least.
You could have 4 in each of 2 profiles.
You could have 4 and 1 Electron app. Nice. No, but in all seriousness, like, I appreciate that they're doing this and that you can, and maybe you're future-proofing yourself to some degree, but who's that machine for? Who's ordering this top-end machine?
Who's spending $60,000 on
human
it?
genome? How many terabytes is that?
Do you ever have it in RAM?
I think you could, and then you just need stuff.
Maybe, but just like any of your cloud computing services with microservices architecture, or like, it's broken up. I don't want to say this is a solved problem, but it's you can compute over data sets that are larger than the amount of your RAM. And I presume anyone in biotech that's working with the human genome, like, they have the infrastructure in place to kind of do this in a shared environment rather than, hey, Dr. So-and-so, here's your new Mac Pro and it's all yours. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but
It's only 2.9 gigabytes, so that was already doesn't apply.
Blew through that
Would
already.
you be able to take advantage of this in a build farm where, say, I don't know, you have these dedicated build machines?
And what? Now you only need 1?
iPad apps? No, but
But that's what I'm saying. I think the trend.
I guess you could be running like 700 like instances of playing all at the same time.
Maybe.
Hopefully they don't conflict
But that's
with
what I'm
each other.
saying. That the trend now is towards more smaller machines spreading the load rather than like, hey, we're heaping it all on this one device. Maybe the trend will come back because, I don't know.
If I just extrapolate from just 10 years ago when I was actually looking at this stuff, like, I can imagine if you're trying to render a 5K frame buffer or 8K frame buffer.
But 1.5 terabyte?
I guess.
Sure, I think probably we have whatever it is, 16 slots for RAM, and this is the max you can put in, so we're going to offer it. And I don't think that high end is perhaps, other than people with just lots of money to spend, and
But you never know.
some
Maybe.
creative director somewhere says I demand 5 gigabytes of RAM because I get it.
You're right. You're right. So there will be people who buy it because they can. And then I guess the flip side of it is there will be people who buy it because the possibilities are there. And who knows, maybe they'll find some really good use for it, and everyone will start buying machines with 1.5 terabytes of RAM.
There's also
Not when it's 25 grand.
Not everyone,
Right.
but more big companies, right?
Sure.
People aren't buying these for home.
But I mean, yes, I mean, the RAM itself, even just like cheap prices for 1 terabytes of RAM, it's still really expensive. So obviously Apple's making up some, but it's not ludicrous. And like just the high-end, the CPUs themselves, that's a $10,000 CPU that's in there, right? So just to start off, so if you get the high-end one, so it's pretty easy to see that I mean, it's obviously there's an Apple markup, but it's not as ludicrous as it first seems just by glancing at it.
So here's a question, and again, this is because I missed all the news of today. When Apple, whatever it was, 2 years ago, panicked and like they went on someone's podcast, I forget who it was, and they said, like, yes, we're coming out with a new Mac Pro and it's going to be modular. You just mentioned the CPUs that are in this. Right. Are they replaceable?
No idea.
How much of this is actually modular,
Well,
or it is replaceable.
Sure. Well, like
It's user serviceable RAM.
serviceable RAM.
Okay,
yeah. And
that's a good
those
start.
Those are DIMM, and they're
PCI?
I won't say DIMM files where they are, and then it's all PCI
Okay.
cards. So like the if you get the dual graphics cards, the dual GPUs, those are just in like double width things, and everything's So it seems like
All right.
those things. I don't know if
That's
I
good
don't
news.
know if the CPU is soldered in, but probably not.
All right.
But I don't know.
That's good
I have to
news.
wait for
Well, it's
iFixit
not
to
news.
spend $7,000 and tear one apart.
Yeah, this is the one that I'm waiting for. Who does all those teardowns? Yeah, iFixit guys. Like, hey man, I always am impressed by people who can buy something brand new and immediately void the warranty, but they're in for a lot of money on ripping this thing apart.
Yeah. Although they'll probably get it back in YouTube.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
just from that. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, good for Apple. I'm happy to see this shipping.
I'm looking forward to Perfect reviewing them. He bought one today.
Supposedly he bought
just
one.
to
Yep.
play around with the dry machines.
Research. We know how that works. I mean, hey, good for him. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm definitely moving smaller and smaller where I can. Like I think I mentioned in the past, like the next version of the iPad that comes out, I'm going all in on the most storage version of that that I can. It does 90% of what I need. Great. So I presume you've all ordered new Mac Pros.
We have not ordered them yet because we haven't settled on a spec.
I've just complained about the fact that YouTubers get them before us.
It's a smart move, and that's another thing I'm super happy to see Apple doing. Like years ago, that was never going to be the case, right? I do remember, again, when I was sort of consulting, and this one person who had just joined this studio, the Intel Macs shipped. He was claiming Apple sent him a review unit. I was just like, nope. Like, if you were Quincy Jones, maybe, but you are a no-name person. Apple's not sending you a review. So I mean, I think that's good. I think that's been really nice to see them out in the wild a little early, and it allows people to drop these reviews on day one and say they've been living with these units. Great. They did the same thing with the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro.
They did it with the iMac Pro. Marquez had the iMac Pro as well. Those came out last year. So it's not new for Apple, but like, do you think somebody at Pixar got one of these? Like, do you think any of the creatives did?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I hope so. I hope so, because the exact use case that we're talking about, like, Pixar is the use case for, rendering and heavy workloads.
Yeah, but what value would that provide Apple to give someone a Pixar one of those?
Because they know they're going to buy them.
It's too late for feedback.
And Pixar's going to buy them.
I mean, yeah, Brownlee had this machine 2 weeks. They could, if he had come back and said this thing's
That's
terrible,
true.
they couldn't have changed it.
Right.
They didn't want feedback; they want publicity.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, if we got one, we could adjust whatever we needed to ensure that we can buy them on day one instead of waiting for 2 weeks and then spending 2 weeks on.
What's 2 weeks?
What's 2 weeks?
Again, to Apple, what are those 2 weeks?
I mean, on our scale, yes, that's probably 1 or 2 units we'll never buy because, like, the 2 weeks. But
right.
I don't know if it's worth it to them to risk leaking.
I think I presume they're all AMD graphics cards, because that's the one thing I would like to. I would like to see that feud. Whatever happened, I'd like to see that over with.
No, it's not. As a matter of fact, it's over with the other way. They're completely done with each other now.
Who, ATI?
NVIDIA and Apple.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would like to see that feud over with. I want NVIDIA cards back.
No, instead of being over with and they're coming back together now, it's over with like we're completely done with each other.
Yeah.
We're pretending. It changed, like someone said they're not, we're not supporting anything at all. It's even the thing we were supporting a little bit.
Right. They used to have sort of drivers, like if you want to throw one of these cards in your machine yourself.
It's dumb on both parts, both parties.
Does anyone know what happened? Because I don't even know what happened. to be honest. I don't know why
there
that's
there was some drama. I don't remember the details of it, but there was some drama like 4 or 5 years ago, and I probably licensing or something.
Yeah.
Who the hell knows?
That's a shame.
I would say that Apple's not the only platform that NVIDIA is a problem on.
Right. Yeah.
NVIDIA
It's not.
not executing well right now.
Sure.
Yes. You mean they're not executing well in terms of their partnerships? But I mean, they still generally have the best hardware out there.
Yeah, hardware, sure, but without the right drivers,
Yeah.
like, what does that matter?
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, it's an all AMD Radeon Pro, blah 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 blah.
Okay.
Pro Vega 2 Duo, baby.
Infinity fabric.
I have to say the other really impressive thing in Marcus Brownlee's video is the box. Like, the box is really impressive. Like, it's not just like, just open the top and take the thing out.
Oh, yeah.
It's really
Velcroed side thing.
Yeah.
That
splits in the
didn't that
middle.
leak not too long ago? Someone had a picture of the box, and I was like, are they really making a big deal over the box? But sure, Apple packaging has a history to it where like they make it a nice experience.
The pocket for the keyboard, like that.
Any other big news?
10.15.2, iOS 13.3.
Oh, that's like really everything today. In fact, I'm going to update my iPhone right now while I have Wi-Fi.
If you're using TCP DOM, you should really update. There's like 9 or 10 CVs.
Well, I'm not using it on my phone, but yeah, I didn't look through the notes. Anything super interesting or super like, the world's on fire?
No.
I feel like talking about your trip. I have a technology question for your trip.
About Kenya?
Yeah.
Sure.
Like so the question is, you travel a lot.
Yeah.
What? And very specifically, your recent trip was through how many countries in Africa?
1.
Oh, okay, 1.
Right.
But you've been to how many?
Well, we spent a lot of time we spent Botswana and briefly in Namibia and Zimbabwe, but those were just like brief. Oops. And a little bit in South Africa, but just at the airport.
So the question then is, compared to what you see in the U.S., what's your impression of technology moving through Africa?
I didn't have a very good view of like technology on the street because we were mostly in like safari camps and things like that, so I didn't have a lot of time in like the cities explore it.
But even moving through safaris, you see people with phones and they have coverage and like
so
that's modeled out, right?
Well, sure. Like we were like at one point the coverage is somewhat spotty, but at one point we were in the middle of the Masai Mara, which is like this, like this really like wide open field, rolling hills, and like not structure to be seen in miles. And I had like 4G coverage, and I was like, where the hell is the tower?
Do they do those?
Like, I don't even know where. Like, and someone said, oh, there's a giant thing on that hill like 20 miles away that somehow I don't know.
Do they do those fake cell towers that look like trees, like you see on the Jersey Turnpike?
Yeah.
You're like, what the hell is that?
There was one. There's a big escarpment, where we were at. That was in the distance, and there was a big thing. And there's a tower, and they said they sort of made it look less like a tower, more like a tree, but it's still clearly like 4 times taller than everything else. But that was some cell tower. I don't know if it was the one I was using signal from, but it was weird because I was taking a picture and all of a sudden I got like a text message. I was like, what the hell? I'm getting a signal out here.
And you're on. Yeah. And speaking of technology and tying that in with Google, you're on Fi.
Yeah.
Right? So did Fi cover you through all the countries you went through in Africa?
Yeah. Fi worked great. The only country we've been to that Fi didn't work in was Vietnam.
Super impressive. And what'd you do? Just pick up a local SIM or something?
Yeah.
Nice.
But so I'm definitely like I didn't really see that much in Africa because our view was sort of specific to like game drives and safari camps. Not really local experience, but like when we were in Southeast Asia a couple years ago, the I definitely had more of the impression of like the sort of the next million users, and like a $1,000 smartphone is not what you're going to buy.
Right.
Right. It's like everyone's got like the really old iPhone or a super cheap Android phone, and because those you can get for a month's salary and not like 10 years salary or something like that. Right. So that's definitely what I saw, and especially like just the ability for people to do the payments. Well, I know in Kenya we didn't see it, but we spoke to one of the managers of the camps, and like mobile payments are huge in Kenya. But there's an app, I forget the name of it, but it's developed in Nairobi and sort of taken over like East Africa, and they say they pay their salaries to their employees. Like you literally like here's a little a spreadsheet I uploaded to my phone, or I hit send, and then like off they go. Here's your salary. You get a text message, and now you've got your weekly salary on your phone. And yeah, it's just like, all right, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's like any mobile payment thing. Yeah. You can just shove it off to your bank or whatever you're doing from there. Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I haven't been to Africa, but I know even speaking with people in Europe sometimes, like being big on zero trust networking, speak to people in Europe, and a lot of people haven't even heard of that as a practice, much less even been considering it. So I'm always interested in thinking about how that affects technology decisions, particularly for product companies like Google. Google wants to get their products into as many hands as possible, for example, and when you're looking at like places like countries in Africa, and it's all mobile, and possibly not even like the most the latest and greatest, most powerful mobile devices. How do you ensure that your products are applicable to those devices, those people, those cultures? It's interesting.
I mean, well, I know companies are getting better at this. I know internally at Google we had a sort of a push for that, and to like be sort of better for like flaky networks and stuff. I remember when a few apps came out on Android originally, it was clearly designed by someone who was never underground in the subway station with no network, right? Because I was like, I wanted to take a note, or I think it might have been Google Keep or something like that, some notes app, and like he just couldn't do it because it needed a network to just write something down and like sync later. And I was
that's
like,
not just Google. That's even
now it's changed. At least the native Google apps have gotten much better about working offline and just syncing up later, that sort of thing. But a lot of other things like this, as is common with like lots of not just specific to networks and other things, but just a lot of things. It's all these apps are being designed by tech bros in Silicon Valley.
Yep.
Who've got a certain view of the world.
Yeah, I agree.
And it takes effort for them for us, I should say, to like think about everything.
But even I think like there are stark differences between just the West Coast and the East Coast, and just in the U.S., right?
Right.
Like with how people behave and their patterns, and speaking of offline access is one thing. I think I'm finding a lot of apps still have really poor timeouts. So, for example, it starts with a network connection. You're on a train, and it starts with a network connection, and the app is really happy doing its thing, and then you go into a tunnel and you lose connection, and the next thing is like, yeah, I'm doing this thing, I'm doing it, and you see no signal at all, and you're like, please, just give up and let me like move on, right? But no, it's going to keep it. I had a signal, right? Like, and it's just going to spin, and it just takes way too long for it to just like, come on, give up. So I would like some more reasonable timeouts as well with a lot of mobile apps. But yeah, that's interesting. So like mobile technology, did you see laptops or desktops, or that's just not what you came into contact with?
I wasn't really around places where I would have expected to see them.
Yeah.
So Again, at least, yeah, and certainly in Africa, it was a very skewed view of the world there. But
yeah, maybe not. You saw people in there day to day.
Sure, but it was, it's, rich Westerners at safari camps, not, strolling around the streets of Nairobi or what other random cities.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Anybody else? Technology around the world that you care to share?
I think I've been anywhere that Clay hasn't been, so I don't know.
I can tell you there's an Apple stores in Moldova. I went there a couple years ago, and I was supposed to be working on Monday, but I landed on Sunday, and I couldn't get Wi-Fi. And like the router they had, for some reason, like I can connect my phone, but not my laptop. And so I went searching for an Ethernet dongle, and it took me an entire day. I found that one single store in the city had the Ethernet dongle. So now I know if I go there, I have to pack one of those just in case, because Ethernet's going to work.
Did you ever find out why Wi-Fi wasn't working?
Was
that one of those channels?
It was one of the, like, there they import a lot of technology from China, and it's like region incompatibilities and all sorts of things like that. And so it was explicitly not allowing, like, it's devices, electronics that were purchased and put in a truck and brought over, they weren't like manufactured for the correct.
Yeah, it's interesting. But your phone would connect. So is that because same model phone
I don't know. Yeah,
delivers around the world? I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah. And I guess that leads to the other real interesting surprise is like how many interesting phones there were there that I've never seen. Like, I'm sure if I traveled to China, I would see them, but like in the US, they just don't exist.
Yeah, and again, like we were saying, so like a lot of Android variants, right?
Yeah,
just all over. And
right, but I mean, like I remember we were in Vietnam. We stopped by the store to top off our little traveler SIM chips, SIM accounts, phone accounts, and like the store they had like a few high-end Android phones and like the latest Apple iPhone, and then they had all of the other devices that were like literally like 1/10 the price.
Yeah,
right. Like
paid SIM cards a thing there? Like wherever I go in Europe, you walk up to a kiosk and you buy a SIM card with like 200 gigs or something.
Yeah. It was like that. And actually, we were in Cambodia. It was ridiculous because it was $2 for a month of unlimited data, and we had great coverage the whole time. And it was like,
I remember getting off the plane in Cambodia, and like, there's a little booth, and you just hand the guy your phone and a couple of dollars in American money, and 2 seconds later he hands it back to you, all set up for the Cambodian SIM.
Yeah, it was great. Although I did see at the airports in the U.S. now there's Google Fi vending machine.
Yes. Like, I took a picture of one of those. You pay $10 to get the SIM card, they give you a $10 credit, and you activate it before you leave, and then you've got free roaming worldwide.
I think that's one of my favorite things about Fi. I'm not a big Fi fanboy, but the free data-only SIM cards.
Yeah,
I have like 6 of them.
Yes, I meant to actually post this. I took a picture of it. This was at the airport, and there's a Google Fi vending machine at the airport.
What airport?
This was JFK.
There's one in Newark, Terminal C.
Yeah, I must have seen it in JFK.
Yeah,
we were at the Delta terminal, so it must have been the same.
Yeah, probably. And I saw that, I was like, oh, smart.
Yeah, because we flew Kenya Airways.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Another travel-related question, perhaps. When you pay attention to the security world, there's a lot of snake oil, definitely, and there's a lot of and there's a lot of sort of like, let's scare people so they buy all this stuff. Something I see a lot of are like personal firewalls and VPNs and things like that. What if any things do you do when you travel if you're in a hotel? And maybe the answer is nothing, because like my answer is generally like nothing. Nothing.
I'm pretty conscious about not going to like my bank account and all this stuff, like unless I really need to. Like
Yeah, I don't think that's something I generally do on the road.
or I do it on the phone.
Yeah. Do it on the phone.
But other than that, nothing.
Why is that? I mean, on the phone, you mean like not on Wi-Fi, or what do you mean by on the phone?
Yeah, like if I'm not.
Are you worried about SSL hijacking or something?
I don't know. It's not my Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean,
Yeah.
Doesn't unless you've installed like the country's certificate or something to man in the middle SSL, then you're not. I'm not really concerned. I guess maybe I should be, but like I don't spend my time doing all my online banking in random cafes in Southeast Asia. But still, I don't. Yeah, I guess I don't know what the risk is.
I don't know.
Other than hey, that guy's got a Schwab account, so maybe we should. I don't know.
There's no risk until the next CVE comes out around, TLS handshakes are broken or something, right?
Sure, but I think
like who knew about that in advance?
Probably not the hotel Wi-Fi.
I mean, you get to,
Maybe
you could be concerned that you're in a place where the entire DNS infrastructure may be completely compromised, and that can be.
Yeah.
Well, then they know, like I said, then now they know where I bank, but they wouldn't have the data on.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. But you're saying you'd use your phone because that's going back to the phone company, or you're not on the hotel Wi-Fi, you're just using the public infrastructure.
The DNS is compromised, and you had what was that thing that Tapaso just found the other day? They redirect the local host.
Oh my God, that was fantastic.
That was hilarious, yeah.
And you hit that site, and you're all.
But that's so common. It's funny, like I've seen the localhost URLs all the time. Like it's not uncommon. I didn't actually realize the rule that like CA has to revoke it within 24 hours, and so that put the vendor in a bind because like that hack that they were doing, like obviously can't do it anymore. And have to find the solution fast.
At last.
Yeah. But that was fantastic, the back and forth on Twitter, like, oh, by the way, you just dropped a 0 day. Wait, what?
Oops.
Yeah.
Speaking of security patches, Apple keeps doing this thing. I'm sure we've had this conversation before, but they release security updates, and it says, like, available for 10.15. What does that mean? Is it that 10.15 is vulnerable? Is it that 10.14 is vulnerable, but there's no patch for it? Is it that nobody has tested whether there's a vulnerability, or something
Why would
else?
you be using such an old OS?
Yeah,
I think is their point, but I mean,
like the phrasing just makes it.
And they do that all the time. Like it's always confusing, like whether they're going to patch security vulnerabilities from the last OS. They always seem to end up doing it. Like it always seems to work out in the end that they have patched it in the previous version, but they're always very difficult to pin down about it when they patch the newest version.
Yeah.
This might not get patched. Oh, we patched it. I don't know. It's like I'm in charge of it. Well, maybe. I don't know.
All right. Any other news? Any other?
Well, we didn't talk about the 16-inch MacBook Pro.
Oh, sure. Well, what are your impressions? I presume you.
Keyboard is certainly nicer.
Yeah.
And has an escape key.
Yes.
The 16-inch screen answered a question nobody asked.
Yeah. See,
Let's make it a little bigger and a little heavier for a little tiny bit of.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of want the guts of that in the 13-inch.
Well, that's what everyone.
Form factor.
But a lot of that would do it.
That's really what I want. I want.
There's a 14-inch.
And I think back given Apple a long time ago, like I'm not really anti-touch bar. I just want the damn physical escape key back. Give me the touch bar with the escape. Like they answered the exact thing that I want, just in too big of a machine.
Yeah, because the touch bar escape key is terrible.
It's not great.
I still don't understand the touch bar. I never use it.
I flat out never use it.
Like I
really enjoy changing the volume on.
Okay, that's kind of nice. I appreciate that, but that's not worth the rest of it.
If I wasn't using this machine to stream, I would show you how often it crashes. And when you change the volume, and suddenly you're like, what the? So, yeah, I mean, some people, I'm sure, like it.
No, it's nice to change tabs in Safari. I guess. I don't know. Well, somewhat you pointed out the hopper. It's got that fancy.
Yeah.
Or something. And I'm sure there are maybe a dozen good uses of the touch bar as the touch bar, but I think most of them. The demo with the woman doing the Photoshop color palette.
Yeah.
Thing, I was like, okay, I guess, but just use your touchpad on your trackpad or your Wacom tablet or whatever you want.
Yeah, and and realistically, again, like the Mac Pro that was just released for people who are going to use this for high-end video or graphics or music, there's no touch bar. So you're not in Final Cut or Logic or whatever your app choice is. Like it's taking advantage of the touch bar become this high-end equipment because you don't have one. No, I don't know. Interesting.
I did have a friend of mine ask me, like incredulously, wait, just the touchpad on the new MacBooks, there's no physical parts, there's no physical movement. I was like, no, it's magic. Yeah. Like it's the most magical thing on the whole device. The fact that like you're not actually pressing, it's just
Okay, really unpopular opinion. The fact that Apple is still shipping laptops without touchscreens, ridiculous. Who else is doing that?
Nobody.
Yeah,
and honestly,
do you
I
really care? I have no desire.
No. Everyone I know who has a laptop with a touchscreen suddenly uses the touchscreen.
Yeah,
so, like just sort of like casually scrolling.
It's funny.
I can see
really
that,
just
but
all sorts of things just pop up.
My Windows laptop is touchscreen, but I didn't know that. Somebody else used it, and they were like, they just went like this and unlocked it by swiping up, and I was like, wait, you can do that?
I mean, the only thing I can say about that is like I have no desire for it, but I can definitely see more and more people just sort of like expecting it. Yeah. Like you hear people tell stories about their kids, and they can see like a photo in a magazine, they try to pinch a zoom it or something, right? Like it's becoming an expectation, right? So they can interact with these screens, right? So
purchasing for me, zero. Like I'm not gonna not buy it because it doesn't have it, but it just seems dumb that I don't have it. And like I have 3 other laptops, all have it. I don't use it a lot, but it's a convenience feature.
Okay, but also Apple's fascination with thinness and like how much bulk would that add to this?
Well,
this screen,
thankfully,
this thing is not thinner or lighter than any of those other laptops.
Right. That's fine.
It has better specs.
I'm fine. That's fine. But I'm asking.
Johnny Ive is no longer designing things, so maybe they're not going to be like completely obsessed with things. And,
maybe.
Butterfly keyboard switches.
If they were delivering a wafer-thin laptop that weighed less than the competition, I'd think, okay, fine. But they're delivering a laptop that's just as large and heavier and doesn't have that feature.
But does that also mean then the entire line needs to get retrofitted with the touchscreen? Like, do you care about parity across all the devices? Like, what if the Pro models had it, but the Air didn't?
It would get it later.
Would it?
I mean,
because that's the model that's supposedly
nobody is shipping laptops without touchscreens. That's a product line is much broader, much wider. Lenovo's a product much broader and much wider than Apple's. I don't know. I don't think any of the laptops on that product don't have it.
But you have to design the software too, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
With Windows, you can do this, and you won't be able to do this with the login on the Mac. Apple, like it's not just releasing the.
Well, here's the interesting thing: 16-inch machine. They added the escape key back. They changed the keyboard design because they got feedback. I'm genuinely curious how many people are asking for a touch screen on the Mac. Because if people were really banging the door down saying, "You really want a touch screen," I think Apple would answer that. But my guess is that.
But that's like, are people really banging the door down for a larger trackpad? No, Apple just thought that was a good idea.
They definitely work with keyboards. Though. Like, it got to the comical thing of like people having like 2014 laptops and refusing to give them away.
Yeah.
So
But like, there's lots of little elements that you can't attach purchases to. Like
Sure.
Are there people who like, you know, Apple thought a huge trackpad that takes up like it's like a foot across was a good idea. Like no one, I don't think anyone went to them and asked for that. And I think touchscreen falls into the same category. It's like it would be like I don't think anyone's not gonna buy it because it doesn't have a touchscreen, but it should have.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Apple's philosophy also is like there's a real distinction between the iPad and iOS and the Mac models, and that's one of the distinctions. And they just may never give that up. You know, like one of the most dangerous things is sort of like blindly following the advice of someone who passed. But I think, you know, Steve Jobs at one point said, no one wants this, your arm gets tired, we're not going to add it.
Except everyone, sure, yeah.
But I'm saying, like, I'm saying that's dangerous.
Yeah.
To, like, keep going back to that, and maybe people are kind of.
Well, he did also say if you see him holding a stylus, then you'd fail. And I'm like, well,
right.
It's
not a stylus, it's a pencil.
Yeah, sure.
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, maybe.
Listen, they got away with calling the iPad the iPad, and everyone's happy with that after all these years. So
sure.
I think mostly because that's me. So this design is really looking old. This design for laptop,
that's pretty perfect.
Perfect. That's a very strong comment.
Have you seen a better laptop?
Yeah, I don't know what you would want. What would you change about
it? It could be a lot lighter. Like carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is a better material. In my opinion, I'm not a materials expert. I would think it's a better material to design a laptop out of.
Is it as recyclable?
Machine. I don't know. Maybe, I mean,
because isn't the story?
I thought one of the main things with the unibody was better thermal dissipation. And carbon fiber is not a very good thermal dissipator.
No one's come to me and said that the competitors' laptops are slower.
And I thought
I'm not really worried about but I'm just concerned about the weight personally. So
yeah.
Again, I
also thought there was some story about like they take the solid block of aluminum, and as they machine and they cut pieces out of it, they take that leftover aluminum, recycle it, and make other parts out of it.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, yeah.
Right? Like,
aluminum's the most recyclable thing in the world.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Perfect's a very strong word.
It's not as good as aluminium, but it's close. Close second.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. Conferences. MacAdmin, I guess, is next. Is anyone going? Is anyone attending?
Not doing that.
Really want to go to Objective by the Sea.
Of course you do. What's that?
Objective by the Sea is in March.
Okay, that's okay. So they're pretty close because MacAdmin is beginning of March, I think. They've called for papers out now, so if you want to speak, submit. Objective by the Sea. Yeah, we've seen some MacAdmins speak there. So
that's in Hawaii again?
It's back to Hawaii, and then he'll do another European version. We don't know where. And then probably Penn State. So
maybe we'll just do Cannes, which is like 20 minutes away or something.
There you go.
Yeah, Penn State.
Cool. And as a non-Mac, non-technical question, Disney Plus. Does anyone do Disney Plus?
Baby Yoda's dope.
What's that?
Baby Yoda is dope.
Baby Yoda's dope.
No, I didn't do Disney Plus.
I did TV Plus.
Oh yeah, so Apple service, Apple TV.
It's actually got some good shows.
Is it good?
Yeah. Can't complain.
All right. Any other like fancy things about it, or just like cool access to the shows, easy on all your devices?
Like free with my I don't know what. I got a notification.
Yeah, I think if you bought the 4K Apple TV, you got a year free.
Anything.
Oh no?
No.
Well,
You probably signed in.
you registered something.
Right.
You registered that, and it,
Maybe. Yeah.
maybe yeah.
Yeah.
Or you signed in there with
We'll
your.
all get years of free.
It's only $4 a month or something.
Well, it's only, but by the time you get all the streaming services you want, before you know it, it's like.
But yeah, no, it was nice. It came for free. So.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Really
that's cool.
like For All Mankind, which is like a space.
Heard that's pretty good. Cool. All right. With that, Happy New Year, and see everyone in January.
That doesn't sound right.
It's
Yeah.
2020.
What?
Barbara Walters, right?
Yeah, that's a good show. That's gonna be another Apple TV.
Probably on Disney Plus.
Thanks, everybody.
No.
Zero.